can we wait 2 seconds?
No.
Yeah, we have 2 minutes.
Well, just don't.
Oh,
you don't
not
wanna-
before we start, we have 2 minutes.
I just need to go fill up my water.
Yeah, go for it. I'm just saying.
Just the live stream's gonna start.
Oh, and it is warm, so keeping that open might keep it.
Minutes?
Anyway, that does cool it
Well,
down
just-
quite a bit.
Okay, where's box? There it is.
Are we just missing that or are there others?
Is it-
DJ's finishing out the year, isn't he?
No, I think he's done. He's not coming anymore.
Marcus,
What?
DJ finishing out the year?
Done. Like I'm done.
Yeah,
We gotta get on our quest for application or qualifications to the community.
I started writing notes.
qualifications, all that is desire to serve
Right. So.
and a resident of Hyde Park. That's it.
Mhm.
Willing to spend time?
21 years of age.
So we have to make just like a short list of what we're looking for. So there is criteria. And then that's it.
It's a very short list though.
Yeah,
Yeah, not hard to
so we have to
satisfy.
like make a procedure that we can follow, something written. Nothing crazy.
Opening ceremony. Is that what we're calling it? Maybe? Okay. Opening ceremony.
We were gonna go open exercises.
Everyone. Cub Scout.
That's what you need done first.
But
The opening
I
again.
know I need to do it before we start.
You're like that.
Doesn't it look like alcohol? Well, this
You mean look like-
I could never thought.
Better read those labels again.
When you go to Oregon or Washington, you know how they always offer you like a glass of wine or a beer when you check into the hotel? No?
Sorry.
Okay,
We're ready when you are.
Oh, it's time.
I'll tell you later. It's pretty good.
All right. Have you started the
Yeah.
recording? Okay, so we better not say anything that we might regret. Welcome to tonight's Hyde Park Planning Commission meeting. It is the 6th of August, 2025. We do have a quorum, although Ned is missing. Commissioner Hanson. So, and we do not have yet a replacement for DJ. Is that right, DJ? Okay. All right. I guess I'm supposed to do the opening ceremony.
So real quick, as the meeting's kicking off, we're changing the format a smidge. So first, the call to order is, the welcome to the meeting. Hi, everybody. And then we're going to do a roll call. And so the commission chair will just point to everybody and say, you're here, you're here, you're here for the
Hey,
record.
you're here and you're here. And
Well,
I'm
but
here.
some names.
Oh, okay. Are we, this is, okay. Well, why don't I just say, please introduce yourself and we'll go down the line.
Does that work?
Do you want us, or we could
Just
just
say-
state our names? Holly Baird, present.
Melinda Lee.
And Michael Mose.
Does that work?
We're all here. Okay. Is Commissioner Hanson joining us via VTC?
No, he sent an email that he will be completely out of touch.
And I tried to get my email back up. I've gotten a hold of the company, but had to leave a message because that's all they had for me.
Okay.
But because I got the new phone and I don't get any emails from the city anymore.
Okay.
So. All right. So I'm responsible for the opening ceremony. We're used to having a prayer or thought and the flag ceremony. Is that still
Yeah.
the deal?
Yeah.
Okay.
want to do.
All right, well, I will say a quick prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful this day for our many blessings. We're grateful for the city we live in, this lovely valley. We're grateful for our neighbors. We pray that we might be wise as we go through the business dealings of land use here for our city. We pray for guidance. And we pray that we might be ever mindful of the citizens here and the things that will work best for our community, not only in the near term, but also in the long term. We're grateful for these blessings, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We'll now go over and review the minutes from July 16th, which seems like forever ago. But you open those up. Did everyone have a chance to review those?
I did.
Holly, do you need time to review them?
Good.
Okay, and I looked at them also. Anything that we need to add or amend?
I don't have anything.
Okay. All right, nor do I. So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from July 16th, 2025, as they have been written and presented to us.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No? All those in favor of approving the minutes from July 16th, 2025, as they're written, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, unanimous. Planning staff report. Is there anything to report, planning staff?
So this is the portion of our meeting where we would tell you that we're looking for another planning commissioner and the process by which we're going to do that. We're in that process and hopefully we'll have someone appointed
Okay,
soon so that we can continue to have a quorum for our meetings coming up.
right. Okay, so the only things that I can think of that are required are Hyde Park resident and desire to serve the community. That's
Is the age 21 or is it 18?
Specify what the age is for our planning commission ordinance.
so. Okay, well, we look forward to finding out who the city council approves as the next member of the planning commission. Okay, and then action items. I don't see any action items that are due this week or this meeting.
So just further clarification with this agenda, all the action items in the future is going to be things that need to be voted on. So anytime there's a vote that needs to be taken, those will be action items, or if it's public hearing, et cetera. Any discussion items, we aren't necessarily looking for a vote. It's just things that we're going to talk about. So
Action items also need to be in the announcement, the public announcement, public notice, I'm sorry.
mhm.
Is that correct?
Yeah, they'll be posted with the agenda. If it's a public hearing, we'll post the public hearing separately as required
Well-
by the state.
Okay. Do items that require action, do they have to be on the public notice?
Not
They have to be included as an action item on our agenda, which is posted to the public notice board. If it's a hearing itself, that gets a separate special notice with the 10-day
Right.
later.
Public hearing is something separate because, yeah, that doesn't require any action. That's just. Okay. All right. Discussion items, land use code updates. I'm guessing this is part of that other
Your attachment
attachment that was in.
inbox.
Okay, is there a way we can put that up on the
Yep, I'm gonna do it right.
screens?
I need to make it bigger.
By the way, thank you, all those who attend. Welcome. We recognize our member of the council, city
Random
council.
citizen.
I'm sorry, I don't know your
Sure.
name.
Sharon Eat.
Welcome. And even welcome those who have to be here. We're glad you're here.
Anyone watching the live stream?
Yeah, is there anyone watching the live screen?
We've got a few. I've got some
That's good.
messages.
About opening your can, maybe.
They loved it.
All right.
Drama.
Can report back to that.
So discussion item number 1.
Discussion item number 1 is for your suggestions moving forward, kind of a yes or no situation. Right now, Marcus, maybe you can help me explain this better.
Yeah, I'll take this one. So currently in the Hyde Park City Code, we adopted a new procedure for subdivisions, if they're single family or multifamily only, based on the requirements of the state a couple of years ago. We've run into a situation where we set the Development Review Committee, which is a staff body, fire department, building code, planning, et cetera, and they'd review all the plans. When we did this change, that body was made a land use authority, meaning they had final approval for final plats for those types of subdivisions. The problem we have is having a required open and public meeting for any land use authority has made that a real bottleneck for the plan approval process. When Mac started working here, she pointed out that it's pretty typical in the places where she's worked in the past to just have to be a staff review, not bound to a public meeting, which makes the reviews a lot more timely and a lot more thorough. And so code change number 1 is modifying this land use table to remove the DRC from any position of land use authority and replace that with, for example, like the zoning administrator or different bodies, so that the DRC can continue to be a staff board that can meet when is able and prudent for all the members to do the reviews and not waiting for the public notice meetings.
So does that make the zoning administrator, does that give him a requirement or her a requirement to have a public meeting when they take over that responsibility?
Not necessarily. We have to dig into that a little bit more.
I mean, it sounds like anyone who's part of the land use authority needs to have open meetings.
Right. Well, you have to do the open meetings when it's a board. But if it's a single person, the zoning administrator has land use authority for other things too. And we've never had to call a public meeting for the zoning administrator to do like a boundary line adjustment or these smaller things that have been their responsibility in the past. But that is a good clarification that we can make for these large items of larger importance, we'll call them.
And well, if they're that large of importance, should it be one person or should it be a board? Or a commission?
The only one we want to change is for the final plat and minor subdivision.
Right.
That's the only one where the DRC serves as land use authority. So that would change from the DRC to the zoning administrator would be the land use authority. The recommending body would be the DRC, and then the reviewing body would be planning staff or city staff, like some of the other applications.
I'm just looking at what we have in some of the other positions here.
Can you make ours a little bigger at all? Can you do,
Let's see.
I know, I've done it at home, but I didn't know if that had the plus
Is
minus
that,
on it.
is that helpful or you need a little more?
Can you
Oh,
see
like
it?
at the bottom, doesn't it have the plus minus?
Yeah, but it's,
Oh,
Here, Mikhail.
yeah, but that table's still tiny anyway. Go
Okay,
to the
that's
full
fine.
page better.
that's fine.
Um, so that's the only one for final plat that they want in minor subdivision
It is.
that wants to, but you don't believe that is of significant importance that it needs to come to the planning commission.
No, it can't. For single family homes and townhouses, it can't come well, it could come to planning commission. It just can't go to city council anymore per state code.
Am I
Is that per
confused?
state code now?
Yes.
Okay,
So when somebody brings in, maybe I'm confused here, but when somebody brings in a development
that's a preliminary plat.
preliminary.
We
plat,
approve that.
We still approve that for townhouses and
Yes.
single family. Okay,
Mhm.
I just didn't hear well then.
It's the final plat that we don't approve.
Which the final plat is more or less just a formality.
Right.
You've approved everything through final plat. So that's where the bottleneck happens. Because now every time we use DRC, which we use them this morning to evaluate a rezone, and we'll use them for site plan approval every time the DRC meets. Right now, because they're a land use authority, we have to have that public meeting with notice. And so we can't do, even if we wanted to meet with part of them, we would still have to have that public meeting. This would just provide us the flexibility to even call a last minute meeting and go, hey, we really need some feedback on this final set of plans, and we'd really like to get this taken care of this week. Is everybody available? We could do that, where right now we have to.
It has to be within the time frame. Got it.
So,
What is the time frame it has to be finished in?
The
Is there a
notice
time
you
frame?
mean? Like how long do they have to give notice?
No, I think that's 48 hours, isn't it? Or 72,
24.
24 hours?
I think it's difficult when we have,
we have to create an
First
agenda.
panel.
Yeah.
or sometimes it's
a
like,
lot.
hey, I got 20 minutes here, I got 20 minutes there. Let's loop everyone together.
Right.
And sometimes it's the same day that we're sending out an email. So it's just easier for us as staff to not have to follow all that government regulations when we just want to get together to say, oh, this plan is good, it meets the code, or this needs more work, let's take some time next week to have a more detailed meeting, figure this out.
I know that these final plats also require the planning, someone on the planning commission's signature. Would it be, and I know that sometimes they've been delayed because they've been approved, but I haven't been here, or, you know, I've had to be called in and say, hey, we need you to come in and sign this.
Mhm.
Would it just be easier to approve it here and then sign it and then send it on? Does that make sense?
Well, it's not so much removing DRC as the body that approves the final plats. It's removing DRC as a land use authority altogether. Because we use them for so many other applications that their status as a land use authority is actually the hangup. It's not about the final plat.
Right.
That's not why we want to change this.
No,
It's
but
about
yeah,
the DRC having to have an agenda noticed meeting every time we want to approve a site plan or something.
Versus a staff review. So we
Correct.
had this, like a few years ago, the DRC was more like a staff review, but then they started voting on things. And so then we started looking into the code, and they were saying, well, we're acting like a land use authority. So then you need to be a land use authority and abide by all of those rules that go along with being a land use authority. But really, it is just a staff review. It's calling in the experts at a round table to just say, hey, this is what I saw. This is what these are my concerns. I don't have any concerns with this. And so you've got kind of that round table of experts to look at everything, and they still want to look at everything. And we talked about it this morning at DRC, because I represented the planning commission there this morning. And he even said, like, as we go forward, should we just send these things out via email and you just approve them separately, individually? And everybody said no, like it works better to be at a round table, because sometimes something that someone else brings up rings a bell for someone else, and that's really helpful. So they still want to gather as a body and talk about these things together, but it is more of a staff review. Like currently we have these, like this morning, the meeting is at 9:30, but we get together at 9 and talk about them amongst ourselves as staff and experts. And then the applicant comes in at 9:30 and we sort of just regurgitate or summarize what we talked about. And so it's really that first half hour that's the most beneficial and helpful. And so what they're doing is they're just cutting it to that, and then they'll just issue a staff review. Is that what it's, staff review?
We craft our staff report based on the
Staff report,
comments.
sorry, a staff report that goes out to the applicant and to the city. So everyone would have access to it. City councils, planning commission, everyone on staff at the city gets the same report. So everybody's working with the same thing. It's just taking away them acting formally. It becomes more of a staff review than a land use authority, because there's a lot that goes along with being a land use authority. And so it's kind of gone back and forth over the years. I like this move a lot better than having it as an official land use
Okay.
authority, having worked in the city.
Well,
I
it's,
think it would streamline things more,
Yeah.
having it be this way.
Yeah.
I agree.
okay. So let me make sure I understand the recommendation. That is to change the line on final plat / minor subdivision to read DRC zoning administrator. Is that correct?
It will be city staff as the reviewing body, the people who take in the application. The recommending body will be DRC.
DRC.
They'll
and
meet
then
and review
land
that
use
final plan.
authority Would be the.
They'll make
zoning
that
administrator.
recommendation to the zoning administrator. And again, final plat is a formality. All the approvals are done at the preliminary plat stage when it comes to you folks for review. And so unless there are a whole bunch of big changes, it's a done deal usually at the end of preliminary plat.
Okay. I don't have an issue with that then. I mean, city staff, zoning administrator. No, city staff, DRC, zoning administrator.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any further discussion on that?
No, I think that streamlines things.
Yeah. I like
And
it
this-
much better.
And the staff is okay with that? It doesn't really change anything for the staff, does it? Other than the
Less
fact that
noticing.
they don't have to have a open meeting.
Yeah, one fewer meeting for us to post and babysit an agenda and record minutes for and everything else. So it's.
Well, the minutes are recorded in the report,
Right.
correct?
You'll
Yeah,
have a
so now
staff
instead of-
report.
Now, instead of creating formal minutes and having to adopt them and record them and post them on the public notice website, we'll just write a staff report and that'll get emailed to everybody. And it'll be much more technical language oriented and a lot less open and public meeting oriented.
Okay,
Since this is a land use authority and it is posted publicly, how much of the public comes and reviews and sits in and has an opinion? Because the DRCs that I've been a part of, I haven't seen any public input. Have you?
Yeah, generally the DRC, we will get visits from city council members who know that it's happening,
Sure.
and we'll get the applicants who are on the agenda. I don't know if I've ever seen a random citizen of Hyde Park come to sit in on a DRC meeting.
Because typically they'll come and sit in once it hits planning, and then they'll come into one of the planning meetings, but I haven't ever seen anyone at a DRC.
Yeah, and it's in the middle of the day, because that's when all of those experts are working, you
Right.
know, like an 8 to 5 job. Yeah, it's only been a public land use authority for a few years.
Yeah.
Ever since we made this change as required by state code.
Yeah, so it's just been a few years and yeah, I've never seen anyone from the
I'll-
general public at
I
those
just wanted to make sure we
meetings.
weren't cutting out the public if they were actually attending, because I'm like, I've never seen anyone participate. I just wanted to double check.
Yeah, and a lot of participation. The planning commission, I would say, gets a lot more public interaction than even the city council does sometimes, because this is where all the public hearings happen. At the DRC level, there's never any type of public hearing. So even if the public showed up to view it, there's not any opportunity for the general public to get up and make just general comments about stuff.
Right, it's
It's
not a
all
discussion.
just a discussion between the applicant and the city staff.
Okay.
So yeah, even shifting it to or out of the public realm doesn't really change that public interaction either way.
But we're still holding an open meeting. We're not
Mm-mm.
it's not an
No,
open meeting.
it's
more of
just a
closed
staff
door.
meeting. It's just a staff meeting. So just like if, like when the mayor meets with like these two to just go over what we're doing at the city. So the applicant will submit their project and then the staff will go over it and say, okay, well, this is what, like, for this project to go that way, you'd have to complete these roads, or you need to look into this water, make sure you get
Gotcha.
water rights. You need to make sure that you have this right of way. You need to talk to UDOT. You need to look at garbage service or whatever it is. It's just really technical.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of, anyway, and most of the time there's things that are missing. And so it's great that the staff starts with that anyway to say, okay, well, I can't even get this to my DRC group
Right.
until you submit all these missing items in the first place.
And-
And then the DRC will address, okay, for this kind of a project on this site,
Right.
these are the things that come to mind for us.
And then-
And
and
with it being, sorry,
You go
with
ahead.
it being a staff meeting, I mean, the public has already had the opportunity to comment on this during the preliminary plat.
No, it's before the
Portion.
preliminary plat, isn't it?
So we're talking about just the final plat
Right.
part of this. Yes,
So the public
This
input
one.
has already happened in an early
So-
stage.
there's not
Okay.
a public hearing for subdivisions like there used to be.
Except we do have one in our code.
Of this
Except
type.
we do have one in our code, so
Special.
that's one word for that. But
Okay.
the public has had their opportunity to weigh in when the public hearing is held
Right.
for preliminary plat.
So since the final no longer goes to city council, right?
Mhm.
We're taking it from city council. So if we say no, we're not going to recommend this to city council like we have done. It's gone on to city council on their agenda anyways. City council has then decided to approve it for whatever reason. What happens in that situation? Does it still go on to the DRC like it would a city council if we don't like it, if we vote against it? Where does it
So
go?
you're just a recommending body when you vote on anything. If you vote on a
course.
preliminary plat, you're actually the approving body. So
It doesn't go to city
So
council.
it doesn't go to city council.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're not pushing something.
You're probably getting confused with development agreements. Those all go to city council, correct?
No, I'm understanding. It's just, I want to make sure that we're not because we do have an issue in the public right now that they feel like Hyde Park is not great with communicating big developments, even though we are doing everything as we should. I just want to make sure that by shifting this and making the DRC not necessarily an open type meeting, that we're going to get pushback for that.
Yeah, I would genuinely be surprised if the public even knew the DRC was happening right now. And that's not to speak ill of anyone. It's just, it's not a widely published meeting anyway. We don't do extra noticing. There's no public hearings. It's just, we put on the public notice website, we do the noticing as required by state code, but generally people just don't know what's happening anyway. So by shifting it to a staff meeting, and I'm not even going to use the words closed door, because still everything we do is in the public eye anyway. It's just, we're not actively inviting the public and saying, hey, come watch us do this. So for us, it's not, And the same thing with the staff report. The staff report's gonna be just as available as
Right.
any copy of minutes ever would be too.
Right.
So,
Okay. We're just discussing this, right? There's nothing else. Do we need to?
yeah, so all these things, we as staff feel like it should be fixed and it should be changed. And so we just wanted to get the opinion of the planning commission before we spent all the time to do the legal research and the drafting and reviewing it with the city attorney. We just wanted to make sure that everybody thought this was worth pursuing before we spent the energy to do it. So,
Okay. So now we've looked at number one. What is number two? Is that just a continuation?
Number two
Oh.
is a clarifying move from the land use code, section 12. It talks about, this is a list of applications, and it says development plan review, which is something we use for commercial and industrial development. But in code, it's referred to as site plan review. So this would clarify that the application to be applied for would be site plan review instead of development plan review. It's
Just
a
a
change in
label-
wording
label.
so that the label of the application matches code, what we call it in code.
And it still only applies to commercial and industrial.
Well, your code actually says that multifamily developments are supposed to do a site plan. And then all commercial and all industrial. So this is the avenue for adding it to the list of applications that people can apply for.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
It's just clarifying wording more or less. We're finding a little bit of that here and there, but when applicants come in and they want to know what to do next, and I say, well, next you need a development plan review, and they go, okay, where do I read about that? And then I direct them to the site plan chapter. Then there's confusion. And so we just want to make our code a little bit easier to read and understand for people. And I think the wording change would help do that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Nope. Number three?
Let's see, amend the requirements for applying for a land use permit to include a survey and title report and an owner agent agreement, which is an owner's consent form. We have discovered most recently with a rezone that will be coming to you probably next month is that the county GIS map, it does come with a disclaimer that it's not 100% accurate and that lines may be not exactly perfect. And that's what we've discovered with this rezone, that if we create the map from GIS, that it's not right. We did require them to get the rezone because they were doing it by legal description instead of boundary. And we discovered that they had a little bit more property to their parcel than is shown on the GIS map. And so, especially for rezones, especially for subdivisions, and it doesn't hurt for site plans and things of that nature to include a survey so that we can clean up our parcel boundaries and that we know exactly what land we're dealing with when we rezone something or add it or take it away from a subdivision.
Okay.
How expensive is that for someone that's just doing something pretty minor? You know, I think of like the people on 200 South that had all sorts of squirrely boundaries they were trying to do to
Mhm.
split their lot.
Mhm.
If someone is just trying to split their own lot in half, like we're talking under 1,000.
I don't know what survey prices
$200.
are, but it's not cheap and fast, that's for sure.
So it can take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks, depending on what surveyor you use, and depending on how complex it gets, it can be 150 up to the highest I've seen is about 1,200.
Okay.
But that's something that's very, very complex. So it's
Okay,
not
that's fair.
unreasonable by any means.
Okay.
And as we develop, that'll help us clear up those
Absolutely. It needs
parcel
to be done,
lines that are.
especially in
Mhm.
Hyde Park where we have a lot of gray areas.
Yeah. I look in that parcel viewer and then I look at where the fences are
Yeah.
and they're not the
Well,
same.
the pins, because a lot of the new developers will do pins. Those pins are sometimes inaccurate as well. So surveyor, it's great.
The title report that we're asking folks for, those will list all of the easements and encumbrances that might be associated with the property. And that way we can include those in subdivision plans and things of that nature where maybe an easement needs to be vacated or a new easement needs to be drawn up, or there's an easement we don't even know about that needs to be taken care of. So the title report just gives us the clearest view of the property involved in the transaction.
Are we specifying who is doing the title report or
No,
are they
that's up
bringing
to
that
that's up
us?
to the applicant. They can
Great.
make that choice.
Okay,
Sound good?
any further discussion on number 3? What was the last thing?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, owner agreement.
Yes.
Is that something that we don't require right now?
Not it. So we don't explicitly require that in our code. We want to add it in because we've had
Have we
most
had-
recently, there's been a couple instances where we've had people contacting us, telling us they're acting on behalf of a subdivision, and we've given them some information, and then got contacted by a different party saying they're acting in behalf of the subdivision. And so our attorney actually recommended that we start asking for this. And so we just want to make it a requirement instead of having to be like, hey, maybe if you feel like it, we can just say, no, you have to do that. If you're not the property owner, you have to provide us with a signed notarized form saying that you have their permission to act on their behalf. Because it just,
Sounds reasonable.
yeah.
Sounds legal.
Yeah,
Sounds right.
Sounds like it should have always been that.
all right, next.
Do you want to talk about the fee?
Yeah. Okay, so another problem that we have when we adopted this big state code update, the state was very specific that every land use application had to have a fee for it to be complete. That the city should not be accepting any sort of application until somebody has paid some money. And that means that they're vested, that we freeze the ordinances where they're at, and they start the process. The problem is in our code, we have it such that before the city staff even reviews the application, you're supposed to pay a fee. The problem that happens with that is once they've paid the fee and they're vested, we have to start the clock and we have to start processing the application. Sometimes the application is a sheet of paper that basically says, this is my application. And it's like, okay, you haven't given us all the required documents. So then we have to press them to give us the documents. And it just ends up being very legally precarious situation to be in. So what we're doing is we would like to amend the language to say that after the city has received all of the appropriate documents, then you can pay your fee. Then the city will review your complete application.
Okay, yeah, my suggestion is that no review other than for the completeness of the application should be done until monies are received.
Yep. So that's exactly why we want to make this change in the code. Because right now it just says the city's going to get your fee in your application and then they'll start their process. And so we just want to add some specific lines of text in there to draw some very
Right,
direct boundaries of here's where your process goes and how it's going to happen.
okay,
And the code will freeze wherever they have a full application and the fee has been paid.
Yeah, and that's the
Perfect.
state law that has been the state law for a really long time. So we just want to separate those out in our code so they're very distinct checkpoints.
yeah. So whoever is the person responsible to verify that the application is complete, they're the only ones that should be doing anything on that application until it's complete and monies have been paid by the applicant.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense to me. I mean, we shouldn't be doing stuff.
Half.
Well, yeah, we shouldn't be,
Halfway.
Halfway.
we need to be paid for, even the city needs to be paid for the services that it renders.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it sounds like there could be times when it doesn't.
Yeah, and part of this, which won't come to the planning commission, is we're also doing an in-depth review of all of our fees to make sure that we're charging people the amount of money that it actually takes the city to process applications. The state, obviously, we don't want to, but also the state prohibits us from charging more money than we reasonably need to cover the cost of staff review and city resources for an application. And what we're finding is with the way these new laws shake out, the amount of time that is spent on these applications, we're ending up having the city basically provide this resource to the developers that the taxpayers cost. And so we're modifying all those fees to make sure that when the developer pays for their application, they're giving enough money to the city that they're paying for the city staff to do their reviews. And so we're not having to dip into the funds for the parks and the police to offset those costs.
Right. Okay. Any other discussion on number 4?
Not from.
Cuatro, cinco.
We want to change the language of the noticing requirements throughout Title 12 and 13 to defer to state statutes for public notices. We're noticing that maybe in a couple places we might be deficient and in other places we're going way too far. Because state statutes change and our code has not changed that often. So we just want to make sure that we are doing it legal and doing it correctly according to state statute. And so instead of listing our own ways that we're going to do things, we just want code to refer back to state statute and say that we're going to play by the rules.
Great idea.
Yeah, if we're not adding anything to state, then we don't need to write our own code, just
Mm-mm.
use theirs. In fact, is there a way we can just, well, I guess you can't really take it out, but you just have to say notice per state statute this.
Right.
Refer back to state
Yeah.
statute. Mhm.
Yeah, and we'll still copy and paste a handful of those guidelines to just put directly into our code. But then it makes it real easy if we need to update, if the state ever updates their noticing requirements, again, we can just copy and paste the same lines and amend our code to match.
I would minimize that
Right,
because then you do have to change it if they change it.
right. No,
If
the
you just-
noticing page is huge, but we'll talk about it when we have the actual edit,
Yep.
but there's a couple of specific things that I know are going to be confusing unless we just put them in our own code. So they're very transparent.
Okay.
So we'll get there when we get there.
Anything else? Número 5. 6. Bilingual.
For numbers.
Oh, we would like to start doing some research about instituting an overlay zone for short-term rentals in Hyde Park. Right now, anybody can have one anywhere as long as they have a business license. And we would like to take the temperature of elected officials and you all and see if there's an area where short-term rentals belong or if they do in fact belong everywhere. Are we going to have them spread out all through town or do we want to keep them close to the highway? Do we not want to regulate that at all? And
Or can we regulate it more? New
That's-
York City has
that's what this would
completely
do.
taken away short-term rentals. You cannot have an Airbnb.
The state won't let us go that far, but this is just like this is the same as like the gravel pits and the medical
Right.
cannabis. These are the ordinances we've been working on. If we have a set of rules to play by, we can kind of shape how it looks, and doing an overlay like this is one way to do it. Like you look at places like St. George where they were getting overtaken by these rentals. And so what did they do? They created a zone specific for the rentals to say, hey, state, look, we allow them, but you have to come get a rezone if you want one. And so then the city council could very carefully and particularly choose where they go. And what Mikkel's proposing is kind of the same thing. It'd be an overlay. So the city would basically say, if you're in this geographical location, you could get a short-term rental license. If you're not in this geographical location, you have to come back to the city to say, I want to change the boundaries of that overlay. And then the city council would have the legislative authority to say, actually, no, we don't want them there. So sorry.
No, I think this is smart. We absolutely need to regulate this
When
more
you
than it
say-
is.
Sorry.
I was done.
when you say overlay zone, I know what an overlay is. I know what a zone is, but when you use them together, it's a little different. So what is that? So that everyone knows what that means.
So the overlay wouldn't change anybody's zoning. It would have effect on no one's zoning. It would be an added layer, if you can imagine, on top in a certain geographical area. And that layer would allow you to get a business license for your overnight accommodation, for
Okay.
your Airbnb.
So that same overlay could cover some places that are R2, some that are R4, some that are mixed use.
It could be,
It-
yeah, it could
it's
be along a
completely separate
road.
from
It
its
could be a
base
big
zoning.
circle based in the middle. We would have to workshop that, and figure out where it was appropriate and maybe even have a
A
public,
public hearing.
a public, well, a public
Give workshop
workshop where people can
Absolutely.
come in and tell us where they think it belongs and, make it an overlay that's crafted by the people who live here so that everybody kind of gets a say as we write it. The sooner we do it, the better, I think, especially with our moderate income housing being at risk. I told the DRC this morning that some of these townhouse developments in their development agreement, it says these can be used for short-term rental. And so if that's what we want to do, is allow these townhouse developments to be a big short-term rental development, then we can do that. Or we can put an overlay like this in place saying where those kinds of things would be appropriate. So we want to start making a plan for how we're going to institute this and the process by which we would get input and craft it. It's going to take some time, clearly, but it's better that we get started and go slow and do it right than wait until the last minute and do something rushed and
Well, and run into a
not
problem.
well. Mhm.
Do we have an idea of how many people are actually doing it?
There's quite a few.
There's-
Not just the ones who have business licenses, the other ones too. Okay,
We know. They don't think we know. We know.
There's
we're now
more-
allowed to
there's more than
use-
You think there are.
we're now allowed to use the internet to find those places, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
And we have.
Okay.
So we know.
How many are legal? 5, 10?
I think you have 5 now who've come in and got a business license and are fully legal.
And so those would if we ended up doing that overlay zone, those would be automatically included with that overlay zone.
We would include them because
The
you
legal
can't
ones.
take away something you've already given.
We just
Yeah.
grandfather it in.
But we would include them.
But they may be a single house, like the zone may be here plus that one
Mhm.
and that one.
And that's the same way that you would get added.
Right.
You know, if you wanted to be included in the overlay, it would be like a rezone. You would apply to be included in the overlay and it would be a public hearing and the whole bit.
But it would provide extra steps.
Yeah.
Which is what so desperately is needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe as clarification, right now, if you want to turn your house into a short-term rental, all you got to do is come into the city, apply for a business license, provide a site plan showing that you can provide the parking and everything else, and the city can stamp that and you can have a short-term rental.
Is there no inspection?
Yeah, well, part of that is every business license has to have an inspection.
Oh, okay.
But I talked to the fire department and the building department today, and they said, yeah, generally, there's not a ton of things. If it's
Like
a house that's functional, which is 99% of houses in the valley, there's not much that they can do to shut it down.
Yeah,
So
big-
yeah, if we had this overlay, it would create a much better opportunity to be transparent with the public if we're, first of all, when we create the overlay, but then if it's going to be amended, it gives a much more option for public opinion and city leadership discretion to approve it or not approve it.
And to put in development standards to the overlay that you have to have,
Right.
you know, maybe there needs to be some screening or some buffering, or maybe there needs to be quiet hours, or maybe there needs to be, you know,
Yeah.
whatever the community would like to craft. But I do think we need to craft something as a community.
Yeah.
So
I
for
think that needs
example,
to be top. I'm sorry, I didn't
Go
hear. it.
ahead.
I think that needs to be top of mind. Out of everything, especially with those townhouses coming in.
We
Are
probably
we-
can't change those.
are we
Sorry.
also allowed to do something like
Already in the development agreement.
so many within a certain area?
Short.
Can't have another one within 100 and We'll
250 definitely
feet.
dig into state code and see where we can begin and where we can either be more restrictive or not
Okay,
as we go.
Sace, good.
Did you say we do or don't have some of our approved townhomes that's,
I did read in an upcoming development agreement
so
that
not one that's been signed?
I have not reviewed all the ones that you have signed before I got here.
Oh.
No.
I don't believe, Mike, I don't believe that we have any short-term rentals in any of those development agreements.
I think Marcus.
Yeah, so it wasn't in addressing the development agreement, but there was some CCNRs from one of those mixed use developments that came in. And it said that, yeah, any of these can be used as short-term rentals. Luckily, it's one of the ones that we haven't approved yet. And so we were like, hey, you gotta take that out of your CCNRs. We don't want that. But that's an application that you'll be seeing probably in the next month or so.
Okay,
That's one of the final plat / plans that's coming.
all right. Number 7.
Number 7 is pretty easy. It's just in one place of the subdivision code. It needs an amendment to differentiate the preliminary plat and final plat approval process for the single family home and multifamily subdivisions. Right now, at the very end of Title 13, where it talks about how many review cycles these applications get, it reads that all subdivision applications only get 4 review cycles. And I just want to add the language in there that 4 review cycles is for single family home and townhouses. Commercial subdivisions and other kinds of subdivisions can have more than 4 review cycles. So I thought it was in more places than that. And after review, it's not, it's just in one place in there. So we would just bring that
Okay,
as a correction.
any discussion on number 7?
No, sir.
Number 8.
Number 8 is one that I don't know if this commission worked on it a ton. I know Melinda did back when she worked with the city. So in Utah land use law, we're talking about what a person can and can't use their property for. There's these things called conditional use permits, which are very problematic. They basically, what people think it means is you may be able to do this, but if we want to not allow you, then you're not going to get to. But really what it means is, yeah, you can do it, and we'll maybe see if we can put some conditions on it.
Reasonably mitigate.
Yeah. And so in reality, conditional use requirements it almost feels like a hoax. Like, the state has it as this option, but really it means we just have to tell people yes anyway. And so this is the first on our list of attacking the conditional use requirements in the city's code, trying to eliminate as many of them as possible and clarify the land use table. For this specific instance, we're looking at ADUs, where the state has already made ADUs a very available option statewide for development. We would like to propose that we remove the conditional use permit requirement for detached ADUs in the city's code.
Not attached, not both.
So attached is already permitted.
Oh, okay.
The state already said, yeah,
We only have.
those are allowed, period.
Right now.
Everywhere you can build a house, you can build a second unit attached to it. And so what we're saying is we'd like to do something similar for the detached ADUs. And potentially we could use this to leverage as part of our compliance for moderate income housing, because we would like to amend our moderate income housing plan in the coming year as well. So this could work in tandem with that.
I have a separate sort of related question. When we were talking about our gravel pits, the on-site gravel pits, was that going to be a conditional use? Or what kind of permit was that going to be?
That
Different?
was a temporary.
Different, not a CUP.
It's its own
Correct.
category.
Okay.
The different.
The CUP goes until it's, yeah.
Yeah, and it runs with the land.
It
right?
runs with the land. It can change from
Yeah.
owner to owner.
It's
And
temporary does not.
to show that you're not going to approve a conditional use, you have to put forth findings of fact. That there are even mitigating circumstances that can be overcome with certain conditions. And I think the solution for the ADUs is to put that in development standards instead. You could do something like detached ADUs have to have a deed restriction that they can't be rented overnight, or they can only be rented overnight if they're in the overlay zone, or they can't, or they can be used for overnight accommodations all you want. We would put that in the development standards for the ADU as opposed to having to have a public hearing for or a public meeting for conditional use permits every time somebody wanted to build a detached ADU. I think it would encourage those a little bit more, which would help with our moderate income housing plan, to change a strategy to add those in, and would remove the burden of that conditional use permit process.
Just as an example then, Phil, who did an ADU
Cowley.
for his son.
Yeah.
But if we get rid of the conditional use permit, then he doesn't even need to come to us. He just brings the plan to you, and as long as it meets the development requirements, he can build it. Just like anyone else would be able to build an ADU,
Mhm.
you know, an outbuilding on their property.
Correct.
Yeah.
The flip side of
As
that,
long as it meets the development standards.
right now, the flip side of that is Mr. Cowley, in building that, got a conditional use permit. And so now if the city decides, oh, we want to pull back our ADU design, our development standards to restrict them a little more, Phil can say, you already gave me a CUP. Whoever moves into this house next, they can keep using this for whatever they want. And it's going to be a legal, valid, detached ADU forever now because we already granted the CUP.
Right.
And that's the other problem with the CUPs is they stick around forever. So creating something that can be regulated with a development standard gives the city a lot more leeway if, you know, in 20 years we realize, ooh, that was a mistake. We need to pull this back a little bit. And then we can start regulating them.
Okay. Any other questions on number 8? 9.
9. Do you want to talk about that one or do you want to? Okay. I noticed when I am approving building permits that the R2 zone does not include a lot coverage maximum. So right now in the R2 zone, you can build you
Shed
can
it,
cover the
shed-
whole thing if
shed.
you want to, where all of our other zones do come with a lot coverage max, a percentage. R2 just doesn't have one. And the plans that I was approving also show that it led to a lot of discussion because these plans were for retaining wall in the setback and in the public utility easement. And right now in our ordinances, there's not a lot of clarification about where you can put your accessory structures.
Like in the city right of way?
Not in the city right of way, in the public utility easement,
Oh,
right? Everybody's got that 10-foot
Yeah.
public utility easement around the edge.
Oh, yeah.
They wanted to sign a waiver saying they knew that if the city needed to get in there, that the wall would be torn down and we would not put it back up. But the city would be the ones tearing down the wall and paying for that, right?
Right.
So the second part of that is redefining the setbacks and the easements, maybe even to clarify what can and can't go in there. Sometimes the word structure isn't super clear, and Marcus, as the zoning administrator, has to interpret code, which is
Depends on your mood that day.
What
Right.
color it is.
So we want to revisit the math that has gone into the other zones to come up with their lot coverage and apply that same math to the R2 zone so it has a lot coverage maximum.
Is it also a stormwater issue? I mean, we don't want these non-permeable surfaces everywhere. We need water to soak into the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, I mean, it's got to be that too, right? Because
Mhm.
we had someone else up here in my neighborhood that wanted to add another shed. You know, he's got a garage on his house. He has a separate garage, wants
Yeah.
to build another one in the backyard. And what stopped him was that lot coverage. Like he would have had too much.
And that's what's proposed for this lot in R2. There's the retaining walls in the front and the back. There's a pickleball court that goes all the way to the corner. It's mostly covered. And so when I brought that up, I said, there's no lot coverage maximum for R2, and R2 is a highly used zone. And so we probably need to put something in place.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like it.
Great.
It's for maximum lot coverage.
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
No, sir.
All right. That ends the discussion, but it doesn't really end the discussion because there's some more things you want to talk to us about,
We're going to go back to the agenda.
the future items.
Future items, is that you or is that me?
All right. So these are things that we want to come and talk about in the future and we'd like to have on future agendas. So first is time limits on approvals. Right now we have different time limits for the approvals depending on which zone you're in and what kind of application you're doing. And we just want to clean that up like a lot and make it really easy for people to know and understand like, hey, if we approve your subdivision, that means the city wants you to build it and you better start building it within a certain amount of time or else you got to come and start your approval process over again because our ordinances may have changed, the rules may be different, the zoning code might be updated. And so that's the idea behind that one.
Okay.
Which, I mean, it's partly like on Wolfpack Way where there's been 1,000 townhomes
Oh, yeah.
approved,
Nothing started.
but yeah,
Yeah, that's the main reason for it, because now since all those have been approved, we've updated that ordinance twice. And I'm sure we would really like all those plans to come back to the city and start over under the new code that we really like. But the MXD has a really long like approval. Like once you're approved, you can sit on that thing for like a year before you have to do anything. And so we just want to get them all synchronized and we want to get them all very clear so we can point to them and say, hey, you've got 1 month to start your construction and get your infrastructure permit in, or else we're going to cross you off the list and you got to start over.
Okay.
I like it.
And then so let's say they don't meet that requirement, they don't dig in a month, then do we start their application over and it has to go towards whatever the code is at that time? Like where does that fall?
Yeah, I mean, the city wouldn't necessarily initiate the application. We just wait. And then whenever they come in to say, hey, we're ready to pull our permits, we would say, ooh, guess what? You're ineligible.
Expired.
Resubmit your concept plan or your preliminary site plan and let's have the public hearing again. I mean,
So they have to start
all the
over.
way over.
Wonderful,
Yeah. So
wonderful.
right now it's all over the map for the different zones. So we're going to standardize it, make it easy to find.
Great.
Okay. Next one is our war on conditional use permits.
Right.
We already
You
talked about
I think-
that one.
Yeah, you already talked about that one.
So-
Need any more talk on that one?
Coming soon to a planning commission agenda near you.
Okay.
Next is
I did see there was a note that was in the folder
It can,
that was newly submitted sometime this afternoon.
it's fine. It's just from me
Oh, is it
stating my hatred of CPUs. That's all.
CUPs?
CUP. See what I say?
CPUs.
That's how old I
We
am.
like CPUs.
We do like CPUs. It's just my hatred of conditional use permits is basically what it is.
Well, there you go.
I know Meg Ryan doesn't like them either, so.
Yeah.
All right, C.
C is a continuation of where we left off with the kind of the transition zone, mixed use zone, buffering and screening from existing residential. We just need to bring that back and keep the momentum going to finish
Yes.
up those code modifications and development standards. Did you have anything else to add for that one?
No.
Okay. And then last but not least is all the planning commissioners are required every year to do the Open and Public Meetings Act training. It's a video you watch. There's a little certificate you should get when you're done with it.
I've done it twice
Great.
at
So
other
we just
meetings.
want to remind everybody, when you finish that training, you have to send us the certificate so we know you've done it. If you
I think we
need,
had to do land use 101 every year.
There's lots of trainings. Supposed to.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Trying to make sure we keep track of all.
So that one's not necessarily like going to come back on an agenda. We just want to let you guys know.
It
Get those
It
submitted.
should be a reminder on there every month until,
Probably. So if you don't remember where to find that training, if you lost the link, contact Colette. She can get it to you. And then when you finish it, you have to send us the certificate saying that it's done.
is it not on Civic Link? Is it through Civic Link or no?
There's a different one.
Okay.
So yeah, just let us know.
Why don't you just email us that then? Email that out to everybody.
Okay.
It'd be great. Yes. There was a
Looking at
time I
the-
thought it was spam.
Looking at those last 4 items, take off the last one, D.
Okay.
Sorry, I've got it here. She did already removed it from the screen. Is there any that
Back up.
you believe needs to be of the higher priority than the other ones?
CUP.
CUPs?
Yeah. I think they're ridiculous.
Okay,
We don't get that many,
We get a lot.
or do we?
We haven't gotten many. I think the last one we got was for an ADU a couple of years ago.
Yeah, like, I agree, like,
was it,
get rid of
Phil's?
them, but it's not
Which
like
one?
they're
Phil's
coming in
one?
every week.
No,
Okay.
it was a different one.
What's the thing that comes in the most?
So
Time limit?
in my opinion, this is just an opinion, we probably ought to get that buffer transition zone thing put pretty high on the list. We had a good path we were going down, and then we got busy hiring a new city planner and everybody was going on vacation for the summer. So we just need to get back to where we were and get it over the finish line.
Oh, like that residential transition zone with the starter home idea or no?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that, and then in addition, we wanted to revisit the like screening requirements in the mixed use zone.
Okay.
To kind of try to mesh those to make it more cohesive.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are the ones that know what's,
Yeah, what's coming out?
because I don't like CUPs either, but we don't get that many.
If
Yeah.
we don't get that many, it's not prevalent.
I
And
believe
it's not
C,
different.
C number, or letter C, commercial and mixed use buffer zone is, the transition zone
Okay,
Top
is,
three.
should be number 1.
sounds good.
So that's my personal, but other people have other ideas.
No, I agree with that. If we don't get very
You agree?
many conditional use, I'm good.
Oh,
So,
I don't know if we can have it ready that fast.
Yeah, they'll
but
have
we'll
to-
start working.
come up with a draft.
okay. Um,
Well,
all right. Any other subjects that need to be brought up?
No.
Okay. All right. Any comments?
So, sorry, maybe you can explain just a little bit, when you talk about taking away the, like that CUP, and you said, because that runs with the land, and you call them development standards. So where's that? Did you say that's recorded with that parcel?
So the development standards would come with,
Or the overlay zone?
The permit itself, for the ADU. So we would.
For whatever CUP you're trying to.
Specifically, we're talking about the CUPs for ADUs.
Yeah.
But in the future, before we took the CUP option away from something else, we would come up with the development standards to replace possibly any of the conditions that could arise if we needed to mitigate.
Yeah,
and
so how does
include
that
them in the
work? Let's say
development standard.
I start renting out my basement and then we sell our home. Can the next person automatically rent out the basement, or do they have to start that process over again at the city?
No, once you have, they would come in for a new business license.
But we'd already be in that overlay zone.
Yes. and
'Cause we
so it
would be legal.
Allowed, and you would just start the permit process through the business license
Okay.
option, where you would get the inspections and then we would have to review your, of course, that comes with the site plan to show where you're parking, et cetera, et cetera.
So kind of start over. I mean, they have to re-show all that.
Well, they would have to get that business license and start
Yeah.
from scratch there, which would include that site plan.
Okay.
Um,
Are you gonna start
Caveat.
charging Tucker rent?
She already does.
He just asks when he gets a car, I'm like, show me the money.
Food and board at this point, my goodness.
Okay, all right. Well, it feels like we've been gone for a long time, but we appreciate all the work that the staff has done since we've met last. It feels like you've been really busy looking at new ideas and ways we can make things easier and more streamlined and efficient and clearer to those who want to do things in Hyde Park. So
Thank you.
that's good. Thank you very much for doing that. All right. Anything else?
I motion to adjourn.
Okay,
I second.
we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
We have approval, majority ruled on that one.
to do the YouTube one first.